Today, I'm going to show you how I took the black Spiderman Welcome Deck from Magic the Gathering and added $25 worth of cards to create this Bracket 2 Commander deck. So first, let's take a look at our Commander. This is Venom, Eddie Brock. They are a 6 mana, mono black, 6/4 with Menace, and whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on Venom. If that creature was a villain, draw a card. So, it's a bit slow. Right out the gate, I gotta say it, it takes a while to get Venom online. A mono black 6 mana commander with a low budget card pool, it's gonna be a little bit slow. That's okay, I'm fine with that. I'm in bracket 2 with this, okay? I'm playing pre-cons. Okay, now that I've talked about the commander, let's talk about some of my favorite cards that I added to the deck to make it run. We're gonna start with our plan cards, cards that go into the plan of creatures dying and me benefiting from it. First up, we have Ogre Slumlord. This is a 5 mana 3/3 with whenever another non-token creature dies, you may create a 1/1 black rat creature token. Rats you control have death touch. So anytime a non-token creature dies, mine or my opponent's, I get a 1/1 rat with death touch. And death touch is awesome. People don't want to swing at you if you got death touch. It elevates this card to a higher level of utility, in my opinion. All right, next up, one of my favorite cards in this deck, Ophiomancer. This is a 3 mana 2/2 with at the beginning of each upkeep, if you control no snakes, create a 1/1 black snake creature token with death touch. If you have a sack outlet on board, on your opponent's upkeep, you make a snake. On their end step, you sacrifice a snake, benefit in whatever ways you're gonna benefit, and then on the next player's upkeep, make another snake. You just keep putting those snakes into blenders and making a delicious, beneficial smoothie. All right, moving on, we've got Timeline Kohler. This is from the Edge of Eternity set. It's a 2 mana, 2/2 with haste, and you may cast this card from your graveyard using its warp ability, and its warp cost is 1 black and pay 2 life. Timeline Kohler can just keep going away and keep coming back. And for pretty cheap, especially if you get some form of lifelink on board, which there are a couple of cards that enable lifelink. This guy's awesome. Next up, we have Woe Strider. This is one of our sack outlets in the deck. There are several, but this is one of the ones that doesn't cost any mana to sacrifice a creature. Woe Strider is a 3 mana 3/2 with when Woe Strider enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 white goat creature token. Sacrifice another creature, scry 1. So not only are you able to sacrifice creatures and fuel whatever engines on board that benefit from that, aka your commander, but you also get a scry, so you get to look at the top card of your library, and if you don't want it, put it on the bottom. There's just so much value here, and it's a really affordable card. And finally, we have Fallen Ideal. I actually didn't know about this card until I was building this deck. It's a 3 mana aura. It says enchant creature. Enchanted creature has flying and sacrifice a creature. This creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. When Fallen Ideal is put into a graveyard from play, return Fallen Ideal to its owner's hand. So this makes any creature you want a sack outlet. So let's say you got Venom out there. Hey, put this on Venom. Then Venom it allows him to say, hey, you're sacrificed. And when that creature gets sacrificed, he gets a 1/1 counter and +2/+1 until end of turn. So you put this on him, sacrifice 1 creature, you're swinging for 3 extra power. I mean, that's like a win con. This card rocks. And if it gets destroyed, oh, put it back in your hand. Do it again. This is crazy. Moving right along, let's talk about card advantage. And yes, Venom does have a built-in card advantage ability, but the deck doesn't rely on villains being like a typal aspect of the deck. Also, I don't get the card advantage until Venom is on the board and he's 6 mana in mono black. So do the math. First up, we have Infiltration Lens. This equipment is nuts. It is a 1 mana equipment with the equip cost of 1. 2 mana, it's fully online. Whenever equipped creature becomes blocked by a creature, you may draw 2 cards. Venom has Menace, and he's my commander. People are gonna block him. Put this on him. With Menace, they have to block with 2 creatures. Whenever it becomes blocked by a creature, you may draw 2 cards. Suddenly, you swing with Venom, that's 4 card draw. 4 cards. Then for another equipment spell, Blade of Selves. A lot of people are probably familiar with this one. This is far and away the most expensive card in the deck of the upgrades. Venom, I think, is still the most expensive card. But Blade of Selves is a 2-mana artifact that says, equipped creature has Myriad, meaning when it attacks, for each other opponent, you create a tapped and attacking token that is a copy of that creature. And its equip cost is 4. Where this gets really fun is, once again, equipping it to Venom. Blade of Selves, attack with Venom. You make 2 extra token copies, but because they're legendary, they die immediately. Venom, this one, is going to see the other 2 Venoms die. When they die, you put 2 1/1 counters and draw 2 cards. But then, 1 token is going to see the other token die. It is a villain. You'll draw a card. And vice versa. So Blade of Selves, you attack with Venom, with Blade of Selves on it, immediately draw 4 cards, put 2 1/1 counters on Venom. These equipments, oh, so good. And then we've got Dark Star Augur. This is a 3-mana 2/3 with flying and offspring 1 black. When you cast it, you can pay its offspring cost and create a 1/1 token copy of that creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. So for 4 mana, you get this and a token copy of it onto the battlefield. Start of your turn, you get to basically draw 2 extra cards. You lose life based on the mana value, but hey, if it's land, that's a free land in your hand, baby. Okay, now we're gonna talk about ramp a little bit. And ramp in mono black, not great. It's not great. Dark Ritual does exist. I don't have a copy, otherwise it would be in this deck. I did put a Soul Ring in the deck, which is technically the strongest piece of ramp in this deck, but I'm not going to talk about that one. I'm going to talk about these 3 cards. First up, Tombstone Career Criminal. This is a 3-mana 2/2 with when Tombstone enters, return target villain card from your graveyard to your hand, and villain spells you cast 1 generic less to cast. And there are enough villains in this deck that can be beneficial. So it's a ramp, and it does reduce the cost of Venom by 1 because he's a villain. I thought this was a fun addition, especially since the next card is a villain. Common Crook. This is a 2-mana 2/2 with when this creature dies, create a treasure token. So it's just 1 treasure token, but he's a villain. So let's say you have Tombstone Criminal out. He just costs 1 black to cast. 1 black, he's on the battlefield. If Venom's out there, sacrifice him. Venom has me draw a card, get a 1/1 counter, and then when he dies, creates a treasure token. There's just kind of a lot of synergy there. And then we have objectively the strongest ramp card in this deck. I know I said Soul Ring is probably the strongest, but for this deck, it's got to be Pitiless Plunderer. This is a 4-mana 1/4 with whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. My creatures are going to be dying. That's kind of the whole point of this deck, is to kill my creatures. So Pitiless Plunderer says, hey, let's make some money off that. All right, moving on, we're going to talk about Targeted Disruption. First on that list, Oblivion's Hunger. This is a 2-mana instant. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Draw a card if that creature has a 1/1 counter on it. Venom's gonna get big, all right? He has the potential to get really big. So people are gonna try to kill him. And while this doesn't stop exiling from happening, it does stop destroy target creature spells. And because Venom is almost certainly going to have counters on him, I get to draw a card. All right, next is Morlun, Devourer of Spiders. Yummy, yummy. This is technically a 2-mana 2/1 with lifelink, but he has X in the casting cost. And this is where the targeted part comes in. Morlun enters with X 1/1 counters on him. Okay, cool, sick. He can be bigger. When Morlun enters, he deals X damage to target opponent. Late game, if I have, I don't know, 10 treasures from Pitiless Plunderer and 5 open lands, oops, I just killed a player. And then one of my favorite recent targeted kill spells, Overkill. It's a 3-mana instant from the Final Fantasy set. Target creature gets -0, -9,999 until end of turn. And that's awesome. This will kill just about anything. Mass disruption spells. And the first one, it's a banger. We have 0 Point Ballad. This is a sorcery with a casting cost of 1 black and X. Destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. There's a ton of 1/1 tokens on the board. Pay 2 mana, lose 1 life, and destroy all the tokens, all the 1/1 tokens on the board. Or somebody has a big boy. All right, I'll just take it. And we got a classic mono black spell. We got Gary. This is a Gray Merchant of Asphodel. It's a 5 mana 2/4. When Gray Merchant of Asphodel enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to life lost this way. You could have 4 cards on the field and gain 15 life, and all your opponents lose 5 life. Even at a smaller scale, this guy does a lot of work. And then we have what I consider maybe an alternate commander. I wouldn't want to put this in the command zone, but it functions as an alternate commander in the 99 and a mass disruption, and that is Zodiarch Umbral God. It is a 5 black mana 5/5 with indestructible, and when Zodiarch enters, each player sacrifices, not destroys, sacrifices half the non-god creatures they control of their choice rounded down. Whenever a player sacrifices another creature, put a 1/1 counter on Zodiarch. I had him enter in a playtest with 17 counters. 17 counters, and guess what? That many counters also went on Venom. That's huge! And finally, here are a couple of honorable mentions. First up, Agent of the Shadow Thieves. This is a background enchantment for 2 mana, just 2 mana. Commander creatures you don't have, whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. It gains Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. 2 mana to protect your commander on attack is incredible. And giving him Death Touch on top of that, they could have a huge blocker, but if that blocker isn't indestructible, it's gonna die. They're gonna block with 2 creatures. 2 creatures are gonna die. He's going to get 2 1/1 counters. And finally, Eternal Thirst. This is a 2 mana aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has lifelink, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So here's what happened. I was playing this deck with some friends, and I enchanted Venom with this. I did a board wipe. And suddenly, he had 36 1/1 counters. In an instant. I did lose the game. That was unfortunately too fast. It was too quick. People didn't like that. But that shows how strong this is. And because it gives lifelink, suddenly I'm gaining a ton of life. Like a lot of life is being gained when you put out Eternal Thirst on this commander and then wipe the rest of the board. It is a huge problem. So those are the cards that I added to this deck to make it run, and I'm pretty happy with how it's run so far. It is one of those things where it's a slow build and then explosive results. And that's generally how I like to build decks. Now this is the part of the video where I would usually give you a test run. I would go onto Spell Table, play it against other people, record my gameplay, and edit that down for you all to see how the deck runs. And unfortunately, I'm just not going to be doing that anymore. And here's why. I recorded 4 play tests for this deck. 4. And every single one of them had some situation where a player would drop out, or a player would drop a really high power level deck. I had one where a guy said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to my car, I'll be right back." And they were gone for 30 minutes. 30 minutes they did not return. And then they came back, they're like, "Hey, sorry about that." That's not a usable playtest, so I'm just not doing that anymore. So I do apologize that you won't be getting those playtests, but I'm hoping that I can start having games with real people, friends that I know in person here in this room to do play tests of different decks. I don't know what the timeline is going to look like for that, but that's the hope. So sorry you're not getting a play test in this video. Just know that I do play test the decks. At least 10 games have been played on this deck, probably more. And every time it runs very close to what I would consider a pre-con. So that's the whole spiel. Sorry that was a bit long-winded, but that's why there will not be any more play tests in these videos going forward. Now, I said at the start of the video that my goal was to add $25 worth of cards to make this commander deck, and the total card market value of the upgrades came out to $22.07. Well under $25. In fact, you can get a Dark Ritual into this deck and still be under budget. It'll be close, but you could do it. And that was the plan, but my LGS didn't have one, so I didn't end up picking one up. The entire deck, the entire deck with the Welcome Deck contents is $40.86. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Now, obviously, if you're buying these cards, you're gonna pay a little bit more than card market value because you're gonna be paying shipping and fees and taxes and all that stuff. So I put everything onto Mana Pool, used their cart optimized feature, and got a cart down to $35. And then I was also able to redo the cart without any of the basic lands and save a few dollars that way if you already have a bunch of swamps laying around. And there you have it. There's my $25 commander upgrade to the black Welcome Deck from Spider-Man. I got one more to go. Red. And this one has been giving me some problems. So we're gonna see what happens when I put this one together. It might be kind of jank. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section down below. How mad are you that there won't be playtests going forward in the videos? Are you mad? I actually don't care. It was taking the joy out of the videos. So I don't care. But hey, voice your opinion. I like to see what you guys think. I might ignore it. All right, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. Although subscribing doesn't really matter that much. Hey, join my Discord. There we go. Yeah, join my Discord. I have a Discord server. It's been around for quite a while, but we can start talking about Magic stuff there. Yeah, that's in the description. See you there.